Welcome to Cavaletto Studios. I'm Chris. This foam roll routine will loosen up and lessen your chance of injuries. Whether you are stiff from sitting at a desk all day or sore from working out, your body will be happy you took the time for a little self-care. This foam roll routine is one I personally do to jumpstart my mornings or simply loosen up at the end of the day. So grab your roller and let's get started. So getting into my personal foam rolling routine. So we're going to sit up on that roller. We're going to start on the glutes. And you're going to take the right hand behind you. We're going to start on the right butt cheek. Both feet flat on the floor, knees bent. And we're going to roll to the top and bottom of that glute. Making sure all your body weight pretty much is on that roller. Hand is for support behind you. And just do a few rolls up and down, checking in to see if there's any tender spots. And then we're going to go a little deeper by bending that right knee, pull that right ankle up onto the thigh, and roll back and forth. And again, here is where you might find more trigger points. If you find a trigger point, just pause on it and move that knee up and down, trying to massage it out. Pin and stretch. You can also do a little rock side to side, and then I like to move to the top of that glute to check in to see if there's anything there, and then back down towards those sits bones, just small little back and forth movement, and then glide all the way top and all the way to the bottom. One more time. And then release that right leg, and we're going to switch to the left. Shift your body weight onto that left butt cheek, left hand on the floor behind you, feet flat, and let's roll to the top and the bottom of that glute. All the way up and down. Noticing the difference between this side and the other. Maybe one has more spots on it that are a little more sensitive. Now we're going to take that left foot and pull it up across the right thigh, open up that right knee, and again, roll to the top and the bottom of that glute. If you find a trigger point or tender spot, just pull that knee up and down. If you find a little area you want to just maybe stay right there and do a small movement, or move that knee. I go to the top and again to those glutes, or to the sits bones. One more roll. Then we're going to uncross that left leg. We're going to sit on the floor in front of the roller. And now I move to the upper back. If you have long hair, make sure it's not going to get caught in that roller. So putting the roller about mid-shoulder blade. We're going to take both arms and we're going to crisscross them over the chest, holding on below the armpits to the lats. Feet are about hip distance apart. You're going to lift your hips, tuck your chin slightly, and roll the upper back area all the way to the top and to the bottom of those shoulder blades. Find the middle of the shoulder blades, open the arms, and crisscross them the opposite arm on top. Tuck the chin, roll again. You might get a natural chiropractic adjustment here. A little pop. As long as it feels good. And then find the middle of those shoulder blades and lower those hips to the floor. And then open the arms wide. Fingertips behind the ears. Elbows open. And then shift onto one of your hips. I'm going to just roll onto my left here and go right into that armpit lat area. I'm going to rock towards the armpit, towards the chest wall. If you're missing lymph nodes, stay backwards into the lats. And I'm just going to rock and roll, literally side to side, going back onto my back and forward towards the chest. Side to side, couple more. Might find some trigger spots there. And then I take my top back leg and I bend the knee, put the foot flat on the floor so I have a little bit of support. I roll down so the top of my shoulder goes on the roller, and then also my arm, my elbow. So the very back of my shoulder is on that roller. And then I roll towards the chest wall, towards the roller. So now you're going side to side, right into that arm. That whole arm is pressing into the roller. Elbow on the roller, not in front and not behind the roller. Just roll forward and back. Make adjustments if you don't really feel anything. Maybe your arm, it's a different place on your arm that you are feeling a spot. One more. And then we're going to release, and we're going to roll all the way to the right. So on your right hip, the top left knee is bent, or if you just roll to the left, whatever side you're on, you're going to roll into the armpit and back into the shoulder blade, side to side. And again, noticing if there's any trigger points. Maybe you need to hold a little pressure there to see if things dissolve, if the crystallized tissue or the sore spot goes away. The more you roll, the less the toll. We're just going to make this nice and quick, get everything warmed up, get our range of motion in our shoulders. We do when we foam roll them like this, or if you work at a desk, it's just a nice way to loosen things up and you can focus better. Now take that arm, roll down. We're going to bring that arm right on top of the roller, elbow on it, nice and solid, and roll towards the roller and then backwards towards your shoulder blades. So I'm right at the top edge of that shoulder and the arm, kind of rolling onto that tricep, the back of the arm. Couple more. And you might need to just sit and rest on that spot, depending on what you have going on there. It's a nice stretch as well. And then release. Now from here, we're just going to flip over into a child's pose. So you're going to separate your knees, feet together. The roller's out in front of you. Bring both arms onto the roller, and then walk it a little closer so you can bring your wrist onto the roller. And then you're going to melt your belly between your thighs and really stretch out that back, the shoulders. We even get a little glute stretch here. And then you're slowly going to come up, and we're going to roll those shoulders. Now moving on, I move to quads next. So coming on to the elbows, find an elbow plank. The roller is right above the knees, but it's not hitting the knees. And then you're going to roll yourself. I go forward and back about an inch, nice and slow. Just checking in with the different muscles, the tissue of the quad. And then walk your elbows backwards an inch. And notice if there is anything going on there as you move up the thigh, nice and slow. Keep walking those elbows backwards. A lot of times I'll roll the glutes and the upper back and the shoulders first because the glutes tend to be a little more tender. And I like to save them towards the last. Towards the end. Now when you get to the top of those quads, we're just going to walk the elbows forward so you slide forward and the roller slides down the thigh. And then once you get back towards the knees, then what I do is I walk my feet together. I tilt onto my right side, and then now, and you can even cross your left ankle over your right. If that is too intense, don't keep the leg crossed and just keep it over to the side. And I just roll slowly up the thigh, but I add a little back and forth for about an inch, and then I walk it back, forward and back. So I'm mostly leaning on the front outer edge of that front of that quad. Keep moving up the thigh. And then when we get to the top of the thigh, probably like around the meaty part of the thigh, I uncross the left leg, bring the foot or the knee either onto the roller or just the foot onto the floor for a little control. And then I rock side to side. So literally going back and forth across the top of that quad. One more. And then you can bring the legs back together, walk your arms forward as that roller comes back down the knees. And then I bring the feet back together, cross the right ankle over the left, lean slightly towards that left leg, and again, forward and back. So you're right above the knee, going forward and back, and then walk the elbows backwards, move the body down about an inch and go forward and back. Might be finding some trigger points, forward and back. If you find a spot, just stay there, hover over it. Keep moving on down the mat so the roller moves up the thigh. Now when you get to the top of that thigh, again, uncross that leg, and then just give your body a little rock side to side across the top of that thigh. If you got a spot, just hold on to it. And sometimes it gets a little intense. You can come off, readjust. And then we're going to continue. I'm going to do one more roll of those thighs, coming back, feet about hip distance apart, knees about hip distance, and the roller right above those knees. And then I'm going to roll again, forward and back, but this time I'm just gliding to the top and to the bottom of the quads in a slow, gentle movement, moving all the way down, moving all the way up. Then I'm going to bend the knees and glide all the way up and all the way down. And then find the top of those legs and then just start to rock the legs side to side at the top of the quads. And then as the legs rock side to side, gently walking the elbows forward. And if you find a spot, maybe just, sometimes I have a spot and I'll stop on it and I just bend and straighten that leg of wherever that spot is. And then I just keep moving forward, moving that roller down, back towards the knees, and then maybe some bending and straightening of the legs down by the knees. And then walk your elbows back, straighten the legs, and send your body off the back of that roller. Now we'll do a stretch of the quads in a moment. I'll show you what I do, but first I want to get a quick roll of the calf muscles. So you're going to bring your legs right on top of that roller. I'm going to start with the right, hands on the floor, lifting the body up and rolling from the ankle to the top of the calf, almost to the knee, but not quite to the back of the knee. And then I add an ankle rotation. Now, if this is hard on the arms, you can also put the arms, the hips on the floor. You can also just bend and straighten those legs and just move yourself backwards. And if you find a knot, just rotate those ankles. Then you're also going to tilt the legs to one side, to the right. Add a little ankle rotation. Again, sitting down if you need to slowly, because we don't want to do this quickly. Even if it's a little challenging to move slow, have the hips, just let the hips rest for a moment, because you might be gliding too quickly over those trigger points. So you want to slowly roll over them, kind of like mushing out that, if you try to just do a sponge real quick, you want to squeeze the sponge slowly. That's like what we're doing in our tissue here. Massaging it out. Also turning that leg to the left. Continue rotating that ankle as we move up and down that leg. Then we're going to switch and we're going to bring that roller back down, cross the legs. Left leg is on the bottom this time. If it's too painful or even too hard to lift yourself up, you can always have a leg on the floor. That is an option as well. Rotate those ankles. Left ankle's turning as you glide yourself forward and back, along that left calf and lower leg by the ankle. This time we're going to turn the whole leg to the left, going on the outside edge. You might have some spots down below or maybe up in the meaty part of the calf. And then we're going to turn the whole leg to the right, going up the back inner part of the calf. We're almost done with the calf muscles. And done. Excellent. Now, to stretch all the areas, those are my main areas that I roll, and then I go into a kneeling stretch, moving that roller longwise. You can have it out in front or a yoga block, bringing the right foot forward, making sure as you hinge your hips forward, you want to move those hips in front of the knee, the right knee is over the ankle. So we're stretching out here through that back hip flexor. And then for a brief moment, I'll even slide that right foot back. And then I do a gentle glide. I'm controlling it, the knee going forward. So I'm stretching that calf all the way down. I'll move my roller out of the way. All the way down through that ankle. Then I move that foot forward again, so I'm not putting too much pressure on the knee. And I stretch out those hip flexors. You can also reach back with your left hand and grab hold of that left foot. So you're really stretching that quad all the way up through the hip and the knee. And you can have your hand on the roller or all the way onto the floor, or even a yoga block, or even up here on the thigh. And then I release, and then we're going to just switch legs. So now bringing that left leg forward, hinging the hips forward. Knee is over the ankle to start with, so we can just really glide those hips forward, stretching that right hip flexor. And just noticing the difference from one side to the other. Then I'm going to bring that left foot back just enough that I can start to go a little deeper into the ankle stretch. Stretching through that calf. Bringing the foot back forward, hinge that hip forward. And again, on this one, you can bend that right knee, reach back with the right hand as an option. Holding onto the foot till you stretch through that hamstring. The calf. You stretch that quad through the knee, the quad, and the hip. And then we'll release it. Go ahead and bring that roller to the side. Spread out those fingers, and then one downward facing dog. Stretch it out, walk those feet, pedal out your feet, alternating, bending and straightening the knees, so you're really stretching through those calves deeper. And the back, the shoulders. And then slowly lower those knees to the floor. Take the right knee forward, and I slide into pigeon. So really stretching through that hip, hamstring, glute. This is our glute stretch here. Left leg is back, knee is on the floor, top of the foot is on the floor. Walk your hands forward, melting into it. Just a nice little stretch. And then we slowly come out, hands on the floor, tuck your toe, straighten out. One more down dog. And then slide your left knee forward, sliding into down pigeon with the other leg in front. You can always do a reclining pigeon laying on your back, crossing the legs. So right knee is on the floor and the right top of your foot. Top of your right foot and the knee is touching the floor, and you're sitting on that left hip or a block or a blanket and just melting into the floor. And just feel that nice stretch. And then slowly coming up, having a seat on the floor, nice and tall. One last thing that I do for the upper body, just to make sure we're nice and mobile, because we stretch through the shoulder blades, is sit up at the end of your roller. If you have a short roller, use a yoga block at the end so your head is supported, because you're going to lay all the way back. So your head is on the roller. So you're completely supported. You feel that roller along the spine. And then take the arms out to the side like a T, feet flat on the floor, and just feel that chest opening up. And then if you really want to get your arms nice and warmed up through the shoulders, reach the right arm to your hip, left arm overhead, and then switch. Windmill the arms, alternate them. One arm overhead, one arm to the hip. A couple more times. Just feel the motion of in those shoulders, how things are just loosening up with each reach. One more, and then take it out nice and wide, palms up. Notice if the hands can touch the floor or not. It's okay, just feel that nice stretch. It might be even easier now that we move the arms. Take a deep breath in, let it out. Bring the hands down by your hips, lift your head, rolling off the side of the roller. And then sit up nice and tall. Notice the posture, notice how you feel, nice and loose and ready to take on your next activity. Take a deep breath in, reach the arms overhead, exhale, palms to heart space. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.